welcome back to my channel and a new video from me. My videos are finally starting to catch up with real time, so I'm very excited about that. And this video is very important because so many people have been asking me about how to get a UN internship, what it's like, and all of those things. So yes, this is what I'm sharing with you today. One important tip is to apply for internships in locations that are less pressure. So you don't really want to focus too much on UN headquarters in New York or Geneva, even though of course you can apply to them, but they are very popular spots, so there's going to be just much more competition. So when I say less pressure places, I'm talking about developing countries. I'm talking about locations that may not be super popular or known. So for me, I had an internship in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and I was applying for an internship in media design and communications in United Nations Capital Development Fund, which is a UN organization that focuses on making finances possible for the most poor people in the world. In my case, I lived in Tanzania for 2 years, and 1 year into my stay there, I was starting to get bored with social media stuff and just doing that. So I applied for an open UN internship in Dar es Salaam because that's the city I was in. I was inspired by my friend Sauda. Some of you, my old subscribers, know about her. She was working in the UN but in another country. And so I decided, you know what, I just want to work with people. So I Googled for a UN internship in Dar es Salaam, and there was a perfect posting for me. It couldn't have been more tailored for me because I had previously worked in a bank in customer service. I had studied economics, and for the last year I had seriously been doing social media stuff. So it was just so perfect. Finance combined with media and communications. That was me. That was like hand in a glove. So I just started crafting my application really good, did the CV, the cover letter, the work samples, and just crafted it really well. Got some input from friends, and Sauda in particular, who was at the time working in the UN, and she gave me tips on what punchlines to really focus on. So in the end, it was me and another girl who got the internship out of, I think, around 200 applicants. So imagine if there are 200 applicants in Dar, how many there must be in Geneva or New York. So that's again why I'm saying in less developed countries, your CV might just stand out a little bit more. Also, to be honest, not trying to be rude or anything, but the English skills in TZ are on a general level not going to be 100%. Your English skills need to be 100. So if you are applying in less developed countries and you are competing with people who might not be as good as English, that will give you an advantage. Actually, the girl who had hired us later revealed that several of the applications were incomplete, lazily done, grammar not good. They didn't have everything that the job posting had asked for, which was like work samples, and I was not playing with my work samples. So the second thing I want to talk about is what kind of skills is good to highlight on your CV. So I would definitely say entrepreneurship and creativity, and I did that by talking about my YouTube channel, my travel blogging. I think those were good examples of showing how I'm creative in media design and communication, so it's really perfect for me. But I think one could definitely show creativity and entrepreneurship in other aspects as well. Another key skill or quality to talk about is volunteering. Like, that is definitely a big thing to bring up, and I did that by talking about my engagement in the Afro-Swedish Association for Youth and me being on the board of young stock investors in Stockholm, where we really focused on educating and teaching and making seminars for young people on how to save and invest. Both of those experiences are not just example of me showing leadership skills, but just me being an active, engaged person who really works at the heart of my community and engaged in civil society. And that's literally what UN is about. UN is all about going out into your civil society, into the community, and work with people, educate, teach, and learn as well. For example, and I'm gonna bring up my friend Sada again, I actually met her in the Afro-Swedish Association for Youth, and I feel like when I was there, I was more like of a participant, and I was active in, like, if I was told like, oh, we need to do this, I would do it and stuff. But she was really like a driving force in that group. And I remember one huge project that she spearheaded, obviously with help with others later, but she definitely did take the initiative and spearhead a huge natural hair convention. I think there must have been hundreds of people there, like 300 people, and there were panel discussions, performances, there were natural hair businesses with like setups in this convention place, and goodie bags, everything that you could expect in a natural hair convention. And she was like 20-year-old or something crazy like that. And I think her doing projects like that, even though that was definitely, I think, her biggest project, but just even small little book clubs or whatever, I think that really helped her CV stand up when she became a UN youth volunteer. You know, you just gotta show yourself being a person who is engaged in civil society, because that's literally what UN is all about. So you will be a perfect candidate if you can show some type of quality like that. All in all, I would say if you want to really be sure to land a UN internship, do some after school work that shows that you are creative, you are entrepreneurial, and you care about volunteerism, and because that are three qualities that are definitely going to be good to highlight on your CV. So those were basically my two major big tips that I wanted to share for you to land your UN internship. But I wanted also to say, like, what are the requirements when you are applying for the UN internship? You have to have a university degree. So either be in your final year of your bachelor's degree, or enrolled in a master's degree or a PhD program, or you can be after school, after university, but it cannot be more than a year after you graduated. So when you start your UN internship, it needs to be within a year from graduation. Another thing is that you have to have excellent command of English or French to be a UN intern. And also there will probably be other more specific requirements depending on which particular internship you apply for. But the more general requirement is university degree, and no more than a year after graduation when you start your internship, and then English or French you have to know very well. Also, I want to talk about some benefits of being a UN internship. It's just like a very, very cool experience. Working at the UN is a dream for a lot of people. It used to be my dream when I was a little girl, so it was kind of fun revisiting that now as I grew up and actually make that old dream come true. If you are thinking about entering the world of diplomacy and public policy, UN internship is definitely the ideal start for you, because you get a first-hand impression of day-to-day work at the United Nations. You get to meet crazy, inspiring people, individuals, professionals, high-level management, and very, very high-profile conference that you get to attend. For example, oh my God, I can't believe like the type of network I got to build when I was in UN in Dar es Salaam. I met with ambassadors from all over the world, politicians, like ministers of all kinds, activists, organizational leaders, like grassroots activists. It was very, very inspiring to be at these high-profile events, meetings, where we're literally writing down program initiatives that we're going to put forward and fund to make people's lives better. But I do gotta say, when you start, you're young, you're naive, maybe you don't really know how to work a room with full of ambassadors and ministers. At least I didn't know. So it's not like I have ambassadors on my LinkedIn as friends. I think it would be a whole lot different if I would go back and do the UN internship now, when I feel a little bit more comfortable and confident in my professionalism. But the opportunity is there. Then I don't know how many like 20 somethings, how good they are at, you know, actually sit side by side by an ambassador or politician to discuss things. But if you do, hey, this is the place to do it. Another benefit is, of course, that if you have UN intern on your CV, your CV stands out. It pops. So even if you don't end up continuing working in the UN, it is definitely a career launcher. And I think, honestly, a big reason to the job that I have now is because I had the experience of the UN. I'm really happy with my current job right now. Actually, I really like it. And I'm not just saying that because my boss found my YouTube channel. Hi. But yeah, the UN does open up a lot of opportunities in the future for other career options. Another really cool opportunity of being a UN internship, especially if you do it in a less developed country as I was doing it in TZ, is that you get to be on the field directly. Sometimes you can get the opportunity to do that, and I'm really happy that I got the chance to speak and interview and listen to the beneficiaries of our program that we were implementing. So at the time when I was there, we were implementing a program in Nyarugusu refugee camp, and the program aimed to increase access to finance for refugees via savings groups, financial education, and digital literacy. That was a very eye-opening experience for me to talk and listen to and write stories about these people, because I was just struck on how normal life seems to be in a refugee camp. So things like that, being on the field and actually interacting with people, was very valuable to me. Another benefit, I must say, is the per diem. The per diem is dope. If you're in a small city or small village, you can get up to like $100, and if you eat and sleep cheaply, you can pocket the most of it. So per diem is like per day allowance when you are out on the field and you're like away from your office, normal work, and going somewhere else. So yeah, that was juicy. Now, since I talked about the benefits, I gotta talk about the drawbacks of being an intern. UN internships are not paid, so you are not getting anything. And you also have to stand for your own accommodation, your own eating, visas if you're traveling somewhere, medical insurance, everything is on you. So what I usually say is UN internships are definitely for the privileged. You're not getting paid, but you're just paying out. So it's really an investment in yourself because it's all cost, and you just have to hope that it pays itself off by after the UN internship. If you want to continue in the organization, you can climb up the UN hierarchy ladder, or that the opportunity opens up other career opportunities for you, and then you'll get paid back that way. That is another reason to why you might want to do a UN internship in a less developed countries where costs are lower than in places like New York and Geneva, where the costs are roof high. For example, the other girl who was an intern with me, she's from China, Hai Shanglei, and really sweet girl. And when she came, she had no connection, no nothing to Tanzania at all. So when she came, she obviously didn't have a place to live, and she didn't have anything. And we had a really nice boss who let her stay in her giant ass house, so she had spare room, for a few days. No, not even a few days, a couple of weeks for free. And then she stayed with me for a few weeks also for free. So it was like a month and a half, 2 months into her stay in TZ, she got an apartment, or she rented a room, and she ended up having a really cool roommate. So everything turned out well for her. But I don't know, if you come to a country, you might not have a boss that is that nice, or colleagues like myself who can also take you in. So that is something to think about before you start a UN internship in actually wherever in the world, but also maybe particular in a less developed country. Another drawback with the UN, maybe I would say it's hierarchical. It's there's just a lot of bureaucracy and things, which I do understand that it has to be like that. But when I say hierarchical, how do you say that word? Anyway, you know what I mean. You really have to start, when you start that organization, you have to start at the bottom and work yourself up step by step. I haven't really heard people just start like getting into the organization from the middle or from the top, unless you have experience in another help organization, you know, WaterAid or WHO, whatever. I think maybe then, or if you're some type of expert in an area and they need an expert. But just like being in your mid-career in another field completely and think you can just start in the UN, nope, it doesn't work like that. You got to start from the bottom. So there's a lot of UN interns that are actually like up in age. They're not like in their youth, in their 20s. They can be in the mid 30s, even 40, approaching 40. So that's something to think about. And the bureaucracy is basically like, there's not so much range, I guess, to do whatever. There's just a lot of hoops and a lot of gatekeeping along the way. So it's up to you if you want to work like that or not. Also, one thing that I want to, it's not necessarily a drawback, but that I think about is just like, it's interesting how an organization, or not just UN in particular, but all help organization are like prestigious, seen as a prestigious place to work in. And I'm wondering if it's because of that, if it's drawing the right people for the work. Because people do kind of like, oh, you worked at the UN, except for some people who are trying to act cool, like I don't care about that. But that is interesting to me. Like, should it be a organization that focuses on improving the most poor people's lives and making the world a better place, be a prestigious place to work in? It's kind of like in politics. It's like prestigious to be a politician when it's really a civil servant job, and it should just be about making society better. It shouldn't be seen as being a fancy thing to do, because that might attract people who are really in there to build their own image of how accomplished they are, rather than making the world a better place. But me saying that is not really an attack against the UN organization itself, but more just the perception of what it is right now to work in an organization like the UN. So another question that you guys may ask yourself is, what do you do if you graduated years ago and you don't fit into the requirements of being a UN intern? Well, there are some things that you can do to kick open the door to become an employee at the UN, and that is to either become a UN consultant or contractor, whatever you want to call it, or a UN youth volunteer, or even a UN volunteer, period. To be a UN consultant, you can be that in any field. So the UN will hire people, experts in their field, to solve a certain problem or create a certain thing that's usually on a time limit. So they'll take in, hire in consultants or contractors. So that is one thing, to be like a freelancer kind of in the UN. So guys, the sun was messing up again, so I had to shift my location. But another way to enter the UN is to become a UN youth volunteer. The only requirement is that you're between 18 and 29 years old and you have a university degree. And I think the best way to do it is via your government. So a lot of governments have like programs where they sponsor a certain number of UN youth volunteers every single year. Expenses are paid, living, accommodation, all of that. And you also get paid, you get a small salary. So for Swedish citizens to get onto that, you just go to Sida's website. For everybody else, I mean, just Google UN youth volunteer and then your country, and the Google searches will be pretty apparent if your country sponsors such a position or not. UN is a global organization, and a lot of countries want their influence into that, so they will sponsor a certain number of spots every year to make sure that, you know, the best of their youth get to enter the UN system. And once you're in the UN system and you want to continue, it is definitely possible to build a career in that organization. So guys, that was it for me in this video. I will film another video talking about my particular experiences in the UN and how it is to work there, expenses, per diem, traveling, what kind of projects I were involved in. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure to catch my next video. If you liked this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Yeah,